Hello? Are we running? Are we going? I don't see any sign that this is doing anything. But I clicked start stream, so I'm assuming that something's happening. Okay, that's there. Hello? Hello? Okay, it looks like this is going now. Let's see over here. Alright. Copy, copy. There we go. And over here. Okay. Got that in there. And now I'm just going to start doodling. Well, hello to whoever might stop by, or be stopping by, or be already here. There is nothing in chat, it doesn't look like, so I don't know if it's delaying, but... Oh, I see Daniel there. So we have one person at least. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing? You've been having quite a bit more activity in the Discord today. It's nice to see you showing off disease and stuff. It's been a while since I'd seen that character. I had Transformers on the mind, so I was thinking of doodling some, but... with how these streams go, we'll see what I end up doodling. Things just seem to pop up here and there sometimes, but I figured I'd give a little rundown of my version of Transformers while it lasts in my head before I move on to something else. Oh, I zoomed out a bit there. Let's zoom back in. Oh, it's not what I wanted to click. Get that down. That there. Okay. Alright. So where did I put... Where should I start? Well, it's always best to start at the beginning, I guess. Which would probably be, Primus and Unicron. Now, let's see here. I've done so many different, sketches and ideas over the years. I have to go back through the folders of Transformer sheets that I've made up to get every design, remember them all. Unicron's pretty basic, because I just draw him the same way for everything, pretty much, but Primus is a character that hasn't shown up nearly as often throughout the franchise. His look's not as in my head as his brother's is to me. Oh. Did that mess things up? No, it didn't. Okay. So, let us do Primus. The good guy god. And, yeah, Toriyama, the, Dragon Ball stuff you were talking about it, there was quite a bit of conflicting stuff throughout that whole development of the android saga. Technically, they're artificial humans. They're not, exactly mechanical fully. But Americans were always, the dub always called them all androids, so it gets a bit more confusing when you have, like, Android 16, who is completely mechanical, and then Androids 18 and 17, which are cyborgs. They were made out of humans. Yeah, but I'm just doing Primus here, I guess. It'd help if I could see what he looked like. Nope. Nope, that's all in the way. Move that over here. Move this here. Okay, I think I got a good look at him here. I keep resizing everything because the stylus keeps clicking on things twice when I click on them. Yeah, this'll be a little doodling thing of my Transformers stuff. Obviously, at the very start, you have the One, which creates Unicron / Primus, and then splits them into two beings, which become Unicron and Primus, and starts out as one being. Okay, there we go. Yeah, for my stuff, I always viewed it as, it gets split to keep, like, the balance of nature, chaos, and order, and that type of setup. And because, Unicron is a being of chaos, the universe is designed for order, and naturally, his nature of chaos cannot comprehend that, and he spites reality. And that drives his actions, and just sort of his instinct to destroy and absorb everything. Later on, like, towards when Unicron is finally dealt with in modern times, he would, there'd be a point where Optimus and Galvatron would be absorbed into him, and they would wake up in this reality where everything seems alright, but they'll have, like, flickers of everyone around them being, like just eviscerated corpses and stuff that are walking around. And the implication is that Unicron is, in his absorbing, he is giving all the things that he absorbs, all the people and stuff, they're a more proper world, as he sees it, and that is sort of his mentality, is a world that is contradictory to the world of order, and eventually all would be absorbed into him, and he would be the new reality. And that's pretty much his goals. And of course, Primus, obviously, is against that, because the two brothers, the two sides to the same coin kind of thing. And when he traps Unicron in the planet that becomes Unicron's body later, he traps himself in another planet to ensure that the conflict is resolved and no more destruction will come of their fighting in ancient times. And, yeah, from there, there's a species of mechanical life forms that saw what happened back then, and so they seek out Primus for saving them from Unicron, which he didn't realize he was doing. And Primus creates a techno-organic life form once he senses them on the surface of the planet that he has trapped his soul into, which he's trapped it at the core of that planet. And the entity guides the aliens to the core, but he can't keep control of the entity after a while, and it ends up becoming independent and stuff, and he is always attempting to create beings that are extensions of him to understand that independence that organic life seems to insist upon having, which leads to his attempts at creating people, which become not Transformers at first, but they're like the first Cybertronians. I forget what exactly I had them as. They were another, I think they were another Hasbro product. And then eventually, after wars from that, civil wars between them and the aliens that came and upgraded Cybertronians and stuff, lead to sort of destruction on the planet, so that most organic matter ends up getting destroyed in that process. And Primus, he ends up creating the Transformers eventually and stuff. And yep, that's after the wars and everything. Alpha Trion is the one, I think, that sees through like observation equipment that Unicron has a new body made out of the planet that he was trapped in. And Primus decides that he needs to have one as well to combat Unicron should Unicron ever arrive, which he inevitably would. And that ends up leaving things as just this giant battle that happens, and the first 13 and the other Cybertronians that are made after them help to operate Primus's body in the battle. The Dinobots arrive on Cybertron from these pods from outer space, and they seem to fight against Unicron's forces, but they're not like... Primus and all them don't really know the Dinobots' origins or anything. They just sort of view them as animals that popped up out of nowhere. And yeah, eventually Unicron is quote-unquote defeated. The Fallen who was helping him is launched into outer space, where he hopefully would never be found and stuff. Prima, the first one that like held the Allspark, couldn't bring himself to kill the Fallen. So the Fallen's just left to drift in the cosmos, and Unicron, who was defeated, is left dormant, and he's left drifting through the cosmos, and he ends up eventually smashing into ancient Earth, and his body begins decomposing into the Earth over the eons, and the Earth just sort of parts. I think he crashes near, like, in Asia somewhere, because I remember I had another Hasbro franchise the world of my Transformers stuff has a lot of different Hasbro franchises as part of it. And actually, let me see. I have a whole list over here of the different, like, factions throughout the ages that it takes place in. Defense Command, Skywatch, Extraterrestrial. Let's see. Is the music too loud or anything? I can turn it down if need be. Japanese Defense Force, Lunchables Brigade, Skylogic, Kanto. Oh, no. Moon, Gaia, Realize ones. Primo, Spectral Knights. No, that's another one. Darkling, no. There's Prismos, but that's a different world. Oh, and I'm assuming one of the characters you're talking about that's similar to Unicron and Primus is Gaia, Daniel. Don't know exactly what the fourth one would be. Maybe Kronos? Or Kron Architect, I think. Yeah, Gaia is part of this stuff, but that doesn't come into play until, like, the very end of anything I made up, which was, like, the far future Autobot Predacon time period. Technically, Gaia is there in some form as far back as, like, ancient times, but they don't really state that. Here's all the different Transformer factions. These. Okay. Well, I cannot find the, other Hasbro property I was thinking of. But there's, like, one that's... There's this sort of event that happens in, like, 1,000 years ago or a few hundred years ago, where different Hasbro properties that took place on Earth end up, like, joining forces because there's this, like, there's all these demons and stuff that are being dealt with in not ancient times, but older times on Earth. And, like, it has Merlin and, these super-powered girl warriors and stuff. And the forces of good eventually fend off the demons and all that, and there is a Transformer that ends up on Earth back then by accident, and I think he's one of the Destrons or something, and he ends up being forced to work with Merlin, or whatever the wizard character was that I had, and they track down the source of where all the demonic stuff is coming from. And they don't know it, but it is, like, Unicron's remains that the evil ninja faction had been, like, utilizing the power of to open up, like, the gates of hell and stuff to allow the demons to come forth and all that. They seal it off and inadvertently end up preventing Unicron from awakening. And so that's subsided for a few centuries because of that. But back on Cybertron, I never cared for the prime status being denoting the leader every time and stuff, and in modern stuff it always seems to be applied to Optimus to show that, oh, he's going to be the destined leader and the ultimate good guy and all that stuff. I don't like that. It always seemed way too convenient in everything that it would just line up, and Optimus always seemed to be destined for greatness and all that, what I would say is garbage. And I end up using it more like how Animated did, and where it's just a military rank, basically. And the prime status predates the Autobots and Decepticons. They have various different factions before the Autobots and Decepticons in my stuff. There's the Destrons, there's a few other ones that I can't remember the names of now because I've been making this stuff up for my version since 2015. Wow, that's 8 years now. But yeah, it's the highest ranking, or no, what it is the leaders of Cybertron. They don't have the rank of Prime. They have their own unique titles, so because Alpha Trion, when they have him as one of the 13 in typical Transformers stuff, technically he has the rank of Prime, but they never call him a Prime. So it's always odd to me that they even do the Prime name convention for 13. But no, there's the first lead, not the first leader, I don't think, but one of the first was, in most stuff he's called Nova Prime, but in this stuff he's called Nova Major, I think. And he ends up getting things towards Cybertron expanding across the universe and building up the Cybertronian Empire, but on the day that he was going to launch one of the vessels into space to show that they have the ability to go to other worlds, a mysterious figure kills him from behind and hijacks the space vessel. And that is Liege Maximo, who had been hiding at the core of Cybertron until then, after the initial battles with Unicron, which he had helped Unicron and the Fallen for his own purposes. But after that, he went into hiding towards the core of Cybertron. Alpha Trion had been trying to hunt him down over the eons, but never was able to. He makes his getaway finally when he hijacks one of the space vessels that were made. And after that, there's some other leaders, but the main noteworthy leader before the series really starts would be, what's his name? Let me check. Not that. Zeta Supremus, who is obviously Zeta Prime in other versions. And he ends up having to deal with the Destrons when they form under Mega Zarak, who is arguably the most vicious and cruel of the evil Transformers leaders throughout history. He ends up eventually defeating him, which they think that Mega Zarak is dead, but he ends up instead. What happens is he gets caught in a space bridge collapse during that final fight, and what it does is it warps him into another universe, which ends up being the Diaclone universe from, like, the original, like, series that a lot of the Transformers toys came from originally. And the Waruders, they capture him and use his, like, research on him to advance their machinery and stuff. And that ends up leading into a little saga later on when Optimus is around, where there's interdimensional stuff and the Waruders come and try to take over the world of this Transformers stuff. And then they have to deal with Mega Zarak when it turns out he's not dead, and Optimus and Galvatron / Megatron are the ones to finally beat him. Hello, Misasa, how are you doing? We're just drawing Transformers here and all that stuff. Oh yeah, oh sorry Daniel, I got caught up in explaining things. I'd forgotten Atlas even existed, but yeah, Gaia and Atlas are kind of the same thing, I think. It's just the same, like, idea, not the same character, but yeah, it seemed kind of redundant to me to have both of those. Atlas is a more primitive concept of it, I think. But yeah, here's Primus. Just a sec, let me check something. Don't leave that there. Don't freeze up. Come on. There you go. Okay, let me check this. Oh well. You do like your cats, Misasa. You do have one that is always trying to lay on you and everything. Yeah, this is Primus, the creator of the Transformers. And I guess, by extension, I will do a little Unicron here, his evil brother. Yeah, they kinda tired a lot of people out of Unicron during the Armada Energon Cybertron days of the franchise. I know that they had no plans to do Unicron at all in animated. It's a very, very tired concept at that point in the life cycle of the franchise. Although they did make designs, concepts of what he would have looked like if he had appeared in that series. Yeah, Unicron's one that I can usually draw without looking at anything. I've drawn him so much over the years. He, probably first, yeah, I first used him mainly in the old Worth of Life fanfic. That was, like, right back, when Animated ended, to, like, give it what I thought would work as an ending. It started sort of as a sorry B romance thing as part of it, but beyond that, I just threw in all the stuff that I thought that could work as an ending, because it's like the series should have had a final season instead of getting canceled like that. And a lot of ideas from that story ended up getting worked into my later Transformers stuff. The idea of what Sari's actual origins are and stuff come from that fanfic. And that would be explored towards the later on in my Transformers stuff, what her true origins are. Obviously, they never got to it in the show, but I would fully get into that. It ends up relating sort of to the origins of the character Sideways, and what is revealed about him later on in my stuff. Which I always wrote the stuff as like it's the actual Sideways. There's no multiple different Sideways across the universe, multiverse. Like, there can be other Sideways, but it would be the same Sideways as the one that was being implied to be in Armada and Cybertron and Animated and Revenge of the Fallen, all the same guy. And this would sort of be either another step in his little interference across the multiverse, or this would be his ending. But it would get into his multiversal sort of adventuring, make them more defined and interlocked and stuff. It wouldn't show much, but of his, like, other travels across the multiverse, but it would help to solidify that it is the same character across the different universes. And he does have participation in the initial battle between Unicron and Primus when Primus finds Cybertron and they fight with their planet bodies and stuff. Sideways would end up becoming a very active character later on in the series. He'd obviously be working behind people's backs and manipulating everyone and stuff. I think it's because Alpha Trion suspects him to be the one, like, he might not know who Sideways is, but he has caught on to something going on in the background, like behind the scenes on Cybertron. And what Alpha Trion does, since he resides, like, in the Vector Sigma chamber, he knows about, like, Sector 7 and stuff. And there's things between humans and Cybertronians before the series gets started, back when Transformers are still, like, a secret to the general populace. There's still things, even to normal Transformers, that are secret between humans and Transformers. And Alpha Trion, obviously, with the status he has, like, knows about everything. So, what he does, since he senses the danger going on behind the scenes, he takes it upon himself to hide Vector Sigma. And like later on in the series, when the characters come to Cybertron, they can't find Vector Sigma, even though it's supposed to be like in the Vector Sigma chamber. And it's like this ancient artifact that everyone's heard of and stuff. But that's because Alpha Trion manipulated things to get Vector Sigma hidden on Earth back when Sector 7 was still active and stuff. They're not active by the point that the story starts. There's one agent who is still doing things, which is like the secret agent from the live-action Michael Bay movies. But other than that, the organization's pretty much non-existent. And yeah, the thing that was causing Alpha Trion to worry is Sideways' agenda going on behind the scene. So, Sideways is always doing things that are very important that the normal characters would not know about until, like, later on when Unicron gets involved and stuff. Unicron would only get involved at, like, the very ending of the series. Well, of the Autobot Decepticon time period. That's when he awakens and everybody has to come together to fight against him. Humans, Autobots, Decepticons, everyone. I've been playing this music for long enough, so I'm going to find something else to play. Blah 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 Transformers. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, let's get this. Alright. Okay. And back to Unicron. Yeah, once Unicron awakens, actually, it's, he does not look good. He has been, like, deteriorating beneath, like, a mountain for eons by that point. He ends up getting up and heading over to where, to a nearby city where he transforms into the structure that roots itself into the ground and spreads its roots throughout the undergrounds of the location to begin collecting materials through the tentacles of the roots to rebuild himself with. Absorbs all sorts of building material and animals and people and stuff that way. All the characters, military and main characters and all that, are going to the city to try and evacuate it and stuff. The Jack and Miko actually end up getting sucked into one of the tentacles because Miko, she gets caught when she's evacuating someone. The Jack and Miko and Raph are like in their 20s or 30s by that point. The adventures that like are similar to the ones in Transformers Prime are implied to have happened before the series begins. And by the time the series starts, they're members of Unit E, which is the organization Fowler was suggesting them to be a part of at the end of the show. But, Jack and Miko get sucked into Unicron's digestive, process, but are able to cut themselves out of the tentacle before they get into, like, the stomach acid area. And, Unicron eventually gets enough stuff that he's able to crack out of the structure he transformed into as a newly formed body for himself. It's not as big as the body he had in ancient times, but it's still ginormous. And the final parts of the Autobot Decepticon era is dealing with that fight, which leaves the city completely annihilated, and Unicron manages to launch off into outer space. He's been damaged, but he's still, like, fleeing to other worlds to begin devouring them again. Megatron, Galvatron and Optimus are pretty much the only ones left on him, and the only ones that can really do anything by that point to stop him, and that's where the final conflict takes place. Yeah, that's about how things would end. Now, one thing I don't care for is when Unicron, when they give, like, when people draw him as just like this really sharp-toothed, just very horrifying mouth and stuff. Just all these jaggedy teeth to make him look all monstrous and everything. I never care for that. I always like it when he has, like, an actual looking, like, human looking mouth and more normal one. It just lends more personality to the character. Of course, my stylus and paint program here are not wanting to cooperate that well, so the mouth isn't turning out that great right now. And you gotta have the mustache area here. There we go. And, yeah, I think I'll leave it like that. Yeah, Unicron and Primus, the original ones that start everything. Although Primus's body there is a bit small compared to what I was thinking of for Unicron. But these are just sketches, so it's whatever. Yeah, the Unit E and Jack, Miko, and Raph, they're different eras, kind of, that are implied to have happened, that are like other Transformers series events, but this universe's version of them. Because initially, there's Sector 7 formed out of a lot of Transformers stuff being found on Earth over the eons, and the Transformers, the ones that ended up encountering what would become Sector 7 generally are able to be convinced to just stop fighting amongst themselves and give up their faction stuff to just live on Earth as secret operatives for what would be Sector 7. And they end up becoming known as the Omnibots. They just secretly work throughout history to maintain order and stuff on Earth. And Sector 7 dealt with a lot of things that were kept out of the public knowledge, but as more and more Transformer events end up happening, that becomes harder to do. Eventually, there is the initial Bumblebee is implied to have been around with Sparkplug, the Witwickies and stuff, and the G1 type of things going on. But that's not really touched upon too much. The first one that's really of note is when Thrust's Decepticon team, which is basically the Armada Decepticons, end up crash landing on Earth after a conflict with Rodimus Prime's team, which is basically the Armada Autobot team. And they have all the Armada adventures with Rad, Carlos, Billy, Fred, and Alexis, and all that. Red Alert is approached by the secret agent guy from the Michael Bay movies at one point towards the end, and she ends up secretly becoming an operative for Sector 7, which she acts as sort of a liaison between them and the higher-ups of Cybertron after the conflict is over. And there's all this just stuff that goes on behind the scenes and stuff. After that, Transformers are still pretty secret and stuff on Earth, but eventually... No, Megatron himself ends up coming to Earth, and the Raph, Jack, and Miko, and they all have their adventures, and the leader of that team of Autobots that works with them is Autoport Convoy, who is like known later on as like a legendary Autobot leader and stuff. And he has the Prime version of Bumblebee as the Bumblebee there. A lot of character, like, the Bumblebees are all basically using the name of previous Bumblebees because they looked up to them and stuff, or they thought they were cool and made a name for themselves and all that. And yeah, they have all their adventures, and at the end, Megatron ends up bringing, like, Transformers into public knowledge because he makes a broadcast across Earth talking about how they're going to take over the planet and everything. And that's when they have their final battle against Megatron, and he ends up in a space bridge accident that Autoport Convoy sacrifices himself in, which leaves Bumblebee, that Bumblebee, as the new leader of that faction of Autobots, and he eventually takes on the name of Goldbug, which is has a prime status. And Raph, Miko, and Jack end up as Unity operatives, which become known as like a legendary team to both humans and Cybertronians, so people of either race do not, like, mess with them if they're evil, or if they do, they worry more than with other characters. And Miko is a human wrecker, basically. Jack is the leader, Raph is the intelligence guy. And by the point the main stuff starts with the sorry Bumblebee, Bulkhead, Ratchet, and all of them, Transformers are just public knowledge, and they all exist alongside humans and stuff on Earth. Alexis, since Transformers aren't secret anymore, is acting as the sort of, what are they called? A representative of Earth for Cybertron matters and stuff. That's basically how it is by the time the story starts up. Sorry is her child self. Ratchet and Bulkhead are from they're the same Ratchet and Bulkhead that worked with Jack, Miko, and Raph's team. Bulkhead had it in Miko's head that he was a wrecker because he thought that it would make her look up to him and stuff and all that, and he's not really a wrecker. He can be pretty destructive, but he's more of a kind-hearted type of softy that's just really good at destroying stuff. Yeah, Miko, it's unknown if she ever figures out that he wasn't a wrecker, really, but it doesn't really harm anything. Starscream ends up being the one that's like the leader of the Decepticons during the initial first parts of the active story of the series. Because everyone believes Megatron is dead. He's really recuperating from the damage he took from Autoport Convoy. But outside of, like, the Decepticon High Command, no one knows he's still around. And that's basically where things are at when the story starts. Optimus is fresh off of being out of the Autobot Academy. He has more experience than other Autobots, but he kept getting held back because he wouldn't go through with certain interrogation things and things that he felt were wrong to do. But most of the more renowned Autobot leaders by that point know who Optimus is and respect him and stuff. Except for Sentinel Prime, because it's Sentinel Prime. And it would be implied later on that Sentinel is actually Dion. And since he and Optimus and Ariel, or no. Was it Ariel? Alita 1. And since they all used to hang out together, they all got upgraded into Optimus in, well, Alita 1. Actually, I think, was she Ariel? If she was Ariel, she gets upgraded from Ariel to Alita 1. And Dion, or Dion, would be upgraded into Sentinel Prime, though that would not be obvious at first. And he ends up becoming the leader of the Autobots after Sideways manages to incapacitate and maybe kill Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus is killed eventually, but I forget how. That he at least No, I think he does kill Ultra Magnus. Which leaves Sentinel as the leader, and he ends up launching this whole thing against, like, indiscriminatory destruction on Earth sometimes to try and get rid of the Decepticons, because he doesn't care about humans. So that all ends up coming to a head when the Vok get involved, and Swindle turns out as an operative for them. He ends up getting killed by Sideways because that's the stuff that actually matters that's going on, and they're both part of that. And when the fleet of Vok, super weapons that are coming to, like, annihilate the Earth, because they figured out that that is where Unicron is, they end up getting destroyed, but one is left, which is hijacked by Sentinel Prime to try and destroy Earth himself. That leads to a conflict with Optimus and Black Arachnia, who is Elita-1 in disguise, ends up killing Sentinel Prime when Optimus and Sentinel have their fight aboard the Vok vessel. Yeah, things get pretty crazy later on. That's basically, that takes you through some of the stuff that would happen in my version of Transformers. Generally, I don't do, like, my own versions of things, because I'm somebody who feels that a series should be handled by the creator. But since Transformers, it's basically a joke at this point, like, continuity-wise, when it comes to the overall franchise, I figured, fine, I'll do my own version, because I've done so many different ideas and stories over the years, so this is all pretty much my finalized version of how I would do a Transformers series. And I know it would never last long enough to get everything told because it'd get cancelled and all that. Typical Hasbro show shenanigans, but since this is fan stuff, I can just make up whatever I want for as long as I want. And everyone else can just see the world that I formed. Blah blah blah, that is a lot of Transformer talk. Oh, well, that is, I don't generally see Ariel / Elita-1 interacting with, like, Megatron in the backstory. That's an interesting idea for it. For my version, Megatron doesn't even, like, his backstory is separate from Optimus until he, like, finds out about Optimus being in the Autobot Academy and how good of a operative he is. Which, Megatron starts out as, what is it? D17? D16. Yeah, that's it. He starts out as, like, this guy that's a miner. He, like, mines for stuff with a whole team of other Cybertronians. He transforms into, like, a gun drill thing. He looks like his G1 self back then, pretty much, and has a friend that their toys came from the same thing. They weren't Diaclone, it was like Microchange or something. But his platoon of miner comrades ends up getting killed off because of some... what was it? Hold on, let me look all this up. D16 began calling himself Megatron, while MC-11 took on the name Kiloton, because they were fed up with, like, how the system, which was more of a functionalist system back then, characters just did what their bodies were designed to do instead of necessarily what they wanted. They were basically just given code names, so they made up their own names because they didn't like that. And the Elite Guard eventually bombed their colony because of conflicts going on at the time. That they they weren't really a part of, but they got caught in like the crossfire, and Megatron, the Kiloton ended up being like killed. Kiloton said he knows Megatron can make a change and all that. That's what inspires Megatron to go on to start competing and gathering forces in the gladiator matches. Over time, he has his body modified with like extra plating that makes him look more like the Armada Megatron slightly, but it's still more of a G1-ish type of feel, kind of. Transforms into a tank by then. But yeah, that's Megatron's backstory. He ends up eventually getting the forces he needs and goes and kills Zeta Supremus, and he's like trying to find the Matrix and stuff, but the Albus Minimus, I think, is the character that finds Zeta Supremus after the Decepticons have like mortally wounded him and he's dying, and Zeta Supremus secretly has the Matrix on himself, which the Decepticons don't know. And so he gives the Matrix to Ambus Minimus, and that transforms him into Ultra Magnus, which is the one that becomes the leader after that until the series begins. He's the one that is always talked about as being the main enemy of Megatron during the war. Yeah, that's the backstory for those characters. Lots of backstory. Now this guy here, Megatron, he cut my thumb up when I was transforming him the other day. That is, that third-party figure of him is amazing, but it is dangerous. Like, it has metal parts and stuff. You want to be careful when working with that figure. Oh well, you've put a lot of thought into your Ariel Alita 1 backstory. Now with me, I always put too much thought into things. It's a good thing to have all the lore and stuff thought up, but at the same time, a lot of times what I come up with, nobody is ever even gonna know about. So it's kind of feels useless at times, but it's all part of the creation process. Let's shrink down the chest a bit, get the proportions more lined up here. Yeah, I've just been doing Unicron and Primus here. This has just been a godly session so far. Transformers, for the meets the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers. Down, 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 down. Yeah. No, I've been seeing you write things in the live chat. Daniel. And it's just that getting caught up in talking about the Transformers stuff, I've kinda gotten a bit distracted at times. But I did see you talking earlier about how Unicron is not the god Unicron in your stuff. It is, I think, just a massive planet that destroys things that people think might be a god or might be just some mechanism more up to interpretation and stuff. And now, do I keep doing Transformers or something else? Yeah. I don't even know what I... This is kind of a cool little thing here of Unicron and Primus. Not sure if I should put something in between them. I think I'll just keep going with it as it is right now. Now let's see. Over here. There we go. There. And as usual, I am getting hungry. But we are not done yet, so I am not eating. Yeah, right now I have about, I think, either a quarter or a bit over a quarter of the storage unit moved out into this place. It is a long process with just one person. There might be some complications with the lawyer and stuff, and family things, when it comes to how things are going with the processing of this place. But for right now, I'm still here making stuff. I actually got the final fight of the latest comic, Doko against the Claw, written out last night. Not drawn up, but I wanted to get down a better idea of how the fight will go, so I don't normally write down, like, a draft or script or anything when I make the comics, but this was one of the times where I did open up a Word file and write it out and stuff. Yeah, Unicron, he is a bit of a dangerous planet to be around. Given that the whole thing is his body, he has like all the antibodies and stuff that just naturally go around him and take care of intruders and everything. And stuff that, in my version, I'm not sure if he's completely even aware at all the things that go on in his body, unless he like manually decides to check and pay attention. It's not stuff he bothers himself with, really. Hey Shadow, how are you doing? I've just been going over the lore and story of my Transformers stuff here. I'm sure it'll be a very insightful session for you to go back through if you decide you want to know more about the stuff. Talked about Unicron and Primus and Sector 7, Vector Sigma being hidden by Alpha Trion, the different eras of Transformers stuff on Earth, the Omnibots helping out Sector 7 as non-faction Transformers in not ancient times, but throughout history. Yeah, that's the backstory to Megatron, and Eloton being there, Zeta Supremus, Nova Major, Prime name not being for, like, the leaders. They all have their own unique names. Prime, Optimus Prime, is actually... I think he's the one that just keeps the Prime title, and so that's looked at as the leader once he does that. But that's like eons after there have been other leaders. Ultra Magnus is the one before him. And yeah, we started out talking about the Unicron Primus conflict at the beginning, so we've been drawing Unicron and Primus here since then. We have been going for an hour and 10 minutes, it looks like. So, yeah, that's that. And Valier here was telling of his ideas for his version of Ariel / Alita 1 and Unicron and stuff. Oh, it is kinda nice to me, Valier, you using actual demons and stuff when dealing with the Unicron things. Makes it feel more supernatural. Yeah, there is the past era stuff of other Hasbro properties hundreds of years back that evil factions used Unicron's powers to open up the gate to hell to release demons and my stuff. But that's not really dealt with by the time the story starts. It's all ancient history by then. Jack and Miko are operatives of Unity in their 20s or 30s. Alexis is a contact between Cybertron and Earth. And Transformers are public knowledge after the conflicts between Autoport Convoy and Megatron's teams back during the adventures Jack, Miko, and Raph had when they were younger. Lots and lots of Transformer stuff. Yeah, we got Unicron and Primus there. Doodling's Transformers. Desktop projects, there we go. Okay, that's all saved. Now what else? Well, I guess the story does start with, like, Sari when she's... It starts with the team that Sari interacts with when Optimus has come to Earth out of Autobot Academy, and he's trying to lead the team, which is comprised of the current Bumblebee, who took the name after the Prime type team's Bumblebee became Goldbug. Before that, Bumblebee was called Sparkplug back on Cybertron and participated in Long Arm Prime's energy experiments and stuff. Doesn't know Long Arm is Shockwave and all that. But he ends up on Earth as part of Optimus's team. And Optimus ends up finally graduating from Autobot Academy and is placed in charge of, like, Bumblebee and Ratchet and Bulkhead, who were part of Jack, Miko, and Raph's team. No, that's not the... I'll just draw older, sorry, then, since I have the, these like that instead of together. Which means I'll have to change the shape of the face here. Yeah, I draw Sorry. As a kid, she has a rounder face. When she's young adult, she has a more defined cheek to her. I figured that'd get you in good spirits, Shadow. Yeah, it turns out later on that when Sector 7 was around, Isaac Sumdac was, like, part of it. Fowler, Fanzone, and Sumdac were all part of Sector 7. And so there are things that are, like, kept hidden from the main cast that they know about. Usually that Sumdac knows about. And the only member of Sector 7 that's still left is in hiding. He's, like, in an underwater facility. He's the secret agent from the Michael Bay movies, but he keeps an eye on things from a distance, and when the facility is found, Autobots and Decepticons alike cannot figure out how to get into it. But eventually, he does make his presence known towards the end. And I think he does do damage to Sideways at one point, because Sideways eventually figures out that Sector 7 and the secret agent guy are dealing with things that are actually important and are a threat to the agenda that he's a part of. The Sector 7 secret agent guy actually is able to hurt Sideways when, like, they have their confrontation. But I can't remember if Sideways kills him or not. I want to say he does, but at the same time I also don't want to, because Sideways did kill Swindle, and, like, to kill both of them seems like it's building Sideways up as just this unstoppable force, which he is, but it's kinda, do I really want to kill off all the behind-the-scenes important characters and stuff? It's not stuff that's, like, made or, like, has a completed version or anything, so I can still change things, but it's things I've gone back and forth on before. Need to fix up this face. So how are you all doing today? Just doodling and doodling. Wishing the stylus was better to use for, like, straight, smooth lines. But it's what I got to work with on stream. Preferably, I just record myself with a sketchbook, but I don't have the technology or allowance for that, since YouTube does not let me record from a mobile device unless I have 1,000 subscribers for some reason. Even then, I don't have a stand to put the phone on, and if I did, it would probably be impossible to, like, actively see chat while I do it and stuff. Bah, bah, bah. But these are the complications of the digital age. Oh well, it is good to get some doodling done before work. It is nice to have you here while you are here, Shadow. Oh yeah, it's always been dumb to me, but that's how I originally tried to stream. Was I tried to set up this thing to record me drawing in the sketchbook, Shadow, and it turned out, oh, you cannot do it because you don't have enough subscribers. And it's like, what? But you let me... You have the option of me being able to stream on the computer. I can't do it because I just have a Windows 7, but the option's there. But when I try to do it on this device, you won't let me? Like, why? But that was part of what prompted me to get a newer computer, is to finally be able to do some sort of streaming. Oh, well, I do hope that the puppy is doing good, Ballier. It is always cute to see the pictures. I'm assuming the puppy can see you now, since the eyes are open. Let's see, what oh, music's still going. I've had the music off on my end so that I can focus on talking. But since it's been going for a while, I'm thinking of changing the music. Let's see, what's this? Alright, there we go. Oh, well, that sounds like a nice little meal, Daniel. Oh, it just started raining here. Yeah, that's chicken and chips. Yeah, French fries or chips are always a good thing to have. Just wish they weren't so expensive at certain restaurants and stuff. Just fried potatoes. These days, people just charge an arm and a leg for anything. Yeah, don't want Sari's hair in the way of the eye. When doing cartoons, I always have it that the eyes can, like, pop up over the other features, like hair and stuff. Although in other cases, I'll have them still adhere to being behind objects, like with these two things here. There we go. That's a Sari Sundack. Oh, the rain's picking up out there. Yeah, when Sari eventually ends up moving in with the Autobots when she gets to be more this age. And that's during the time when she is having a falling out, kind of, with her dad. And, yeah, it goes on. She has more on-screen presence than she does in animated. In animated, they sort of just left her out of the show a lot of the time when she should have been showing up more and stuff, but obviously it's Hasbro trying to have the characters that have toys on screen. I will be getting a bit hungry, I think. Well, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to make some chow mein ramen packet. Add some egg and onion to it. Yes, let's do a bumblebee here. Although, let me check. How do I draw this bumblebee? There are so many different characters to keep track of in my Transformers stuff. Okay. That's Maximal Bumblebee. Okay, yeah, I figured... No, don't click on that one. Okay. Yeah, I figured Bumblebee looked like that. It's like animated shaped head, but has like a white face, like G1 Bumblebee did. Then when he becomes a Maximal, he's got like a gray face and more circular helmet. I guess since it's right here, I can just paste this. And this is like all the ages of Sorry throughout the stuff. Got little kid, young adult, and then full older adult in the hundreds of years later Maximal Predacon stuff. As like, as these metal cheek and chin parts, and the neck is completely robotic, but still organic at parts. And mostly organic for that, but insides are mostly robotic and all that stuff. And then full human, robotic insides at parts, but doesn't know it. Yeah, that's Sorry Sumdac of the Edward18 variety. I don't know why I even bothered to keep that. It's not like I'm drawing her now anymore, but we'll just keep it for the sake of it. Oh, getting quite a bit of rain out there. Well, hopefully that doesn't interfere with any connections or anything. Yeah, it's been a while since I drew this Bumblebee, and sorry, normally when I draw them these days, if I draw them, it's their techno-organic Maximal Predacon time period selves. Because what happens is, like, in the future, like, after the Autobot Decepticon wars, and there's, like, the Deathsaurus Wing Saber stuff that finishes up the remnants of the Decepticons that are still causing trouble. Hundreds of years later, to, like, conserve on energy and stuff, the, Transformers in general either decide to become builders, which is not what most of them do, but those ones end up becoming one with Cybertron. They integrate their bodies into parts of it to, like, help maintain energy for themselves and give energy to Cybertron, and they fulfill functions of counseling and guidance and strategizing and stuff for other Transformers. And most Transformers end up becoming techno-organics to save on energy and be able to eat and stuff organically to maintain energy better. And Bumblebee, who ended up becoming a human at one point throughout the adventures when Sari was, like, in this age range, he remembered how it was to be human and volunteers to become, like, the first techno-organic as, like, the test for it, and they, like, use research on Sari and stuff to figure out how to do that conversion process, and that's what ends up, hold on. That's what ends up transforming him as the first techno-organic into being more Sari's height and having a more animal-like alternate mode. Trying to find a good picture. Yeah, it's these forms, the bottom form here. Yeah. Not what I wanted. Okay, there. This form down here. But yeah, that's, going through the different ages of them. Get that off, and get back to this layer. And yeah, that's, now I'm looking through the other Transformer stuff in the folder I have. Oh. Here's Goldbug, which is what the Prime type Bumblebee ends up becoming after Autoport Convoy leaves everything in his hands during the final fight against Megatron and the younger Jack Miko Raph time period stuff. Yeah, he ends up gaining a rival in, what was the guy's name? He's like the main villain for the first season of, Transformers Robots in Disguise. I guess I could just show the various different Transformers I've done sheets of on here. There are some that I never put up sheets of because I never, like, finalized or got them painted and, like, inked them or anything, but I had a sheet of Obsidian, of, there's Obsidian, there was Solus, forget what I called her, it wasn't Solus Prime, because the Prime name doesn't go with those characters. I didn't end up, I never cared for them using Prime as, like, the title for, like, all the leaders and stuff and throughout history, mainly because it was, like, attributed to Optimus being the fated leader and stuff, and I never cared for that for Optimus. Seemed way too convenient for all of it to just fall into place for him. But I had one for Solus, I had one for Soundwave's later form, which would have looked like more like his Prime self. Let's see. Trying to bring Sari's body more up to where the chin is now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Obsidian, he'd get involved when, like, Sentinel Prime is in charge, and since he just operates for whoever is the leader of Cybertron, he'd be following his destructive towards everything tendencies to wipe out the Decepticons, without question. And so Optimus and Galvatron would end up having to confront him when he comes to Earth. And he's a good enough warrior that he's able to fight both Galvatron and Optimus at the same time. They beat him and stop that part of Sentinel Prime's agenda, but Obsidian still gets away because he's too good for them to properly, like, defeat and stuff. And it's after that that the Vok stuff happens, and when they're dealt with, Sentinel gets command of the last remaining Vok vessel that's left. Tries to bring it to Earth to destroy everything. That's when Optimus gets aboard with, like, Black Arachnia, who's Elita 1. And they have their confrontation with Sentinel, and Elita shoots him through the back of the head when he's about to kill Optimus. Yeah, always gotta have Bumblebee looking all cocky and stuff. Always the kid appeal character. Was kind of odd that well, obviously they made Hot Rod to have a new toy, but story-wise, it's kind of odd to have Hot Rod in the original movie be, like, the kid appeal character that becomes the new leader when they had Bumblebee to work with. Like, that seems like the logical character to put in that role, but obviously they wanted to promote the next toy and stuff, so yeah, that's clearly why Hot Rod was thrown in. Let's see, there's Grimlock. There's Hotshot. Oh, gone about this. Copy and paste. This is an old painting I did back in 2017. Just a Christmas picture of all the various characters. We have Optimus back there, RC, who's part of Raph, Jack, and Miko's Unit E. Ratchet and Bulkhead move over to Optimus's team before the series starts, but they were part of Unity, so they're greeting the Jack and Miko and stuff. Then you have Strong Arm and who was it? There's so many characters to keep track of. Is it Sideswipe? Who's the... They're the robots in disguise people, and so it's like Unity and Goldbug's people, operatives, coming to celebrate with the Optimus team here. Bumblebee and Sorry playing games over here. Little plushie there. Animated Bumblebee plushie there. And Candy there. Yeah. Later on, RC would get her body would still look like the older RC look, but she would get a more prime color scheme. Here it is. Yeah. It's down there. Cyber ninja look and stuff. Head would remain the same, helmet would get a new shade, and this spike thing to, like, really give the Prime feel. And a few changes to the body, but it's mostly a color change, it feels like. Yeah, and, let's see. Yeah, here's Strong Arm and Sideswipe. They're the ones that Goldbug leads after the Unity forms. And Unity RC helps out, but Goldbug goes on to lead a new team, which is Sideswipe, Strong Arm, and the second Grimlock, who's a Decepticon that likes the legends of Grimlock, so he named himself after Grimlock. All these concepts. There's so many ones to, like, go through. Here's Shockwave, the original look, and then the later look after he reveals who he is and then gets a Dark Energon upgrade, I think, after they siphon energy out of Galvatron after Sideways shoots Megatron through the back, and, like, he falls into this pool of Dark Energon, which, like, coats him in a shell and embeds into his spark and, like, overloads him with Dark Energon. Transforms him into Galvatron, but they, like, siphon Dark Energon out of Galvatron to, like, upgrade certain Transformers, which explains, like, how some of the Decepticons get their later looks and stuff. Yeah, it's, let's see, what else do we got here? There's Primus, but I drew Primus up there, so there's not really a need to show Primus. Oh, here's, the Double Face himself, the making things hell for literally every side character. I really wanted to emphasize the, demonic nature to a Unicron-type character, because with what Sideways is, he almost doesn't qualify as a Transformer to me. Like, he has origins in being a Transformer, but with what he becomes, he is more like a demon in my stuff than a proper Transformer. He puts on the guise of being, like, a normal Transformer, but once you, like, get into what he is, he's too supernatural. More of a borderline, like, higher plane of existence kind of character. There's Galvatron. Yeah. Good ol' crazed-minded, warped Megatron, coated in the Dark Energon shell and stuff. And during the final fight between Optimus and Galvatron on Unicron, like, they've destroyed Unicron's core, so his body is breaking apart. But in a last-ditch effort, he's clinging to, like, Galvatron's form, since it's like Galvatron is made partly of Dark Energon. He's able to cling on to Galvatron. He's like having Galvatron fight Optimus, and throughout the fight, like, obviously, if Galvatron wins, he would go on and start eating people and stuff and build up his body into the next Unicron for Unicron to beat. But throughout the fight, Optimus is able to, like, bring Galvatron out of it, but given who Galvatron is, like, Megatron resurfaces and he's just wanting one last proper fight and stuff, and wants to beat Optimus for himself and all that. He ends up, throughout the fight, they tear each other to pieces and stuff, and as the plating is ripped off of Galvatron more and more, like, it's never fully ripped off, but you can see parts of the Megatron body underneath the plating if you look hard enough. And if you look really hard, you can see, like, what his original form looked like back when he was D16, when he was a miner with Kiloton. And it'll look, if you look close enough, it looks more like the G1 look of Megatron. But eventually, Unicron is trying to persist in Galvatron. And Optimus gets it to a point where Galvatron, or Megatron, is going to die because he's, like, suspended above this vat of corrosive liquid that Unicron's systems would use to break people down and stuff in the digestive process. And he, since he's still clinging to Galvatron, Galvatron wouldn't have won against Optimus, but he allows himself to be dropped into that vat of liquid and dissolves, finally ending Unicron with his death. And that's pretty much the end of the Autobot-Decepticon conflict. There are remnants of Decepticons that end up following Deathsaurus later on, but that whole agenda is brought to an end by Starsaber, I think. And then there's the later... Shockwave is still there behind the scenes, and it's implied that he's, like, leading a new faction of Decepticons, and into the Maximal time period, Maximal Predacon stuff. It's implied that he's still operating in the background, possibly as a still mobile Decepticon. But you never really get into that stuff. It's sort of just there as implications of what could happen in the future after the series is over. Yeah, I'm not one that's usually a, well, everything is resolved, every little plot point is brought to an end, this is the conclusive ending. It's like, no, that's not how things work. That's one, that's boring. And two, that's like, obviously there'll still be adventures, no matter what point you end the story at, there's always gonna be more stuff happening, so that's just sort of leaving things open for the future of what might happen in that universe. The important things for the plot that were going on get told and resolved, but there are other little threads that happen and linger off into potential future stuff. Like, I don't think, Dr. Archevil, I don't think he ends up, like, getting resolved. He's part of part of Mech at one point, and he's like leading them after Silas becomes Nemesis Prime and starts working with Sideways. But I don't think I ever had it where he's like ever truly beaten. The last you see of Dr. Arkevil is him. He's made it to Cybertron somehow, and he's watching the broadcast of the fight against Unicron everyone on Earth is having. And he's just sorta there, just doing his own thing in the background. Well, this is the most I've ever talked about my Transformer stuff. Hopefully it's not too boring or anything. Beba. Let's see. I hope the chicken and french fries are tasting good, Valier. I myself am getting pretty peckish over here. Yeah, when in doubt, just draw a Sorry and Bumblebee. There are always two characters to fall back on. Oh, hello, handgun. You're, just in time for all the Transformers stuff we've been drawing for 2 hours now. We got Primus and Unicron up here. And Sorry and Bumblebee down here. Just been going over all the extensive details of the lore of my Transformers stuff for 2 hours now. The most I've ever talked about my Transformers stuff. So if you ever need anything to listen to, this about Transformers, it's this stream, the past 2 hours are the things to listen to. Yeah, here's the different ages of Sorry in my stuff. Child, young adult, then hundreds of years later, maximal time, Predacon time period, older adult Sorry. That is when she and Bumblebee are two of the Maximal Defense Force operatives in Detroit. Then here they are, their ages, when she's young adult, and then Predacon maximal time period after Bumblebee and most of the Transformers as Predacons and Maximals have become techno-organics, which are more human-sized. But that's all stuff that I've already drawn and colored over the years on DeviantArt. The Transformer folder. Here's Unicron when he's like building his body up after awakening from the eons of slumber under the mountain he's under, or been decomposing under on Earth. I think that's the symbol for devil, the kanji. And this is the structure that he roots himself, like transforms into and roots himself into in the city, that like branches out all the roots into tentacles to collect materials to rebuild his body with. Eats up like materials and people and animals and stuff. They get sucked into these holes here. And he has like the Minicon symbol as like the symbol for the structure, and it glows more yellow and then red as the structure forms and like builds up materials within it. And eventually he bursts out as a newly formed Unicron, not as big as he was in ancient times, but over time he will like eat more worlds and grow bigger and stuff. Yeah, that's how that works. Tons of Transformer things. I've drawn so many Transformers over the years. 2015's when I really started working on this world of Transformers. Yeah, here's Ultra Magnus, who originally was Ambus Prime or Ambus Minimus before that. Received the Matrix from Zeta Supremus, which transformed him into Ultra Magnus. And there's some Power Master armor concept art for him that he'd use against Megatron during the Great War and stuff. Yeah, that's the Autobot leader when the series starts. Yeah, when Zeta Supremus first starts leading, he's, the enemies are the Destrons before the Autobots and Decepticons form. And, Megatron, due to the bombing of his mining colony that he's a part of, ends up forming the Decepticons from gladiator matches to go against Zeta Supremus. He already didn't care for the, like, functionalist society, where they all just do what their bodies were designed for instead of what they want to do. But he ends up forming Decepticons, killing Zeta Supremus, and then the Great War starts. Here's Viacons. They were made sort of to go along with the functionalist society, so they're just like mass-produced, generic-looking Transformers. And some of them do actually have, like, talent and stuff, but because society sort of just treats them as these generic bodies to do stuff, a lot of them don't ever realize they have potential, and society certainly does not view them as having potential. And so they're just these clunky, sorta expendable forces, and because of that attitude, a lot of them end up joining with the Decepticons, which enhance their bodies, and later on end up making just generic drones that have more circular visors than these triangle ones that are just machines. They don't have souls, but you can always tell the ones that do have souls are these ones with the triangle visors. And there's, let's see. Yeah, there's Steve. Steve is like the one that's the only named character one of them, and he ends up becoming a recurring joke because all the bad stuff happens to him, and he's like actually from a Transformers thing. I think it's the Prime comics, and it's just anything bad that happens that should kill people, he like survives and always gets injured but walks it off because it's like the joke that all the bad stuff happens to him. And he ends up running into Waspinator in the Maximal Predacon time period towards the very end, and they like help each other escape Cybertron as the bad stuff is happening and stuff. Oh yeah, the hammer of Ultra Magnus. He first started using the hammer in Animated, That's where that first came from, and it's just been so cool that it's stuck around throughout the other incarnations. It was sorta Thor-like because it could shoot electricity and stuff. And now, what am I going to draw here? It's just been a Transformer day, so let's see what else I should do here. Let's see, there's okay, there's Hotshot. There's RC getting her arms ripped off. It's horrible. There's Grimlock. Up. A lot of biners. Oh, there's Prowl. Oh. This is a combination, a Power Links form between, give me a second. Where are you? You're all the way down here. Between Hotshot, the second form of him, and come on, and his leader, Rodimus Prime. And that is what they look like when they combine together. They are Hot Rodimus. It's a character that has its own mind, but when they're Power Links characters, oh, well, I'm sorry, Shadow. It's been fun having you here. It's keep your chin up. You will get through that day eventually. Just remind yourself you are making the money. But yeah, when there's Power Links characters, their minds like combine. But it's like a character that acts as its own person while they're combined. And so, like, I've had Power Links forms for Optimus and Rodimus Prime. Most recently, the Maximal Bumblebee Sorry one. Hotshot Rodimus, Jetfire Optimus. Yeah, I think one or two others. Well, we will be sure to write that on your virtual tombstone, Shadow. You will not be forgotten. Hopefully, in another life, another day, you can be one with the streams again. But for now, you gotta make stuff to survive with, so we will understand the sacrifice of your absence. For me, though, the only issue I'm really having is trying to figure out what to put in here. I guess, how's about a RC? Slashing. Yeah, there we go. Just cutting with her blade. Following how Transformers Prime and Animated did it, RC is a cyber ninja And she starts out pink and looking like her G1 self, but she is pretty dangerous in action. So now I gotta pull up what she looked like again. I don't have all the hundreds of Transformers characters memorized in their designs. A lot of them I only ever made like a sheet for, and that was it, just to have like a design for them. Okay, put that down here. And there we go. That's sort of the mixture between Prime G1 design for her second look of the stuff. She is not the best when it comes to, like, always understanding other people. Jack is her best friend she has. When the series well, back during the days when Jack, before Jack and Miko and Raph were, like, with the team, RC's team, Starscream killed... It wasn't Cliffjumper in this one, it was Springer, I think. Yeah. It's, doing the Prime idea of him killing her boyfriend, but it's Springer, the more traditional boyfriend character of her. And then later on, she falls in love with Rodimus, but she does not admit to for quite a while. Miko is always noticing it when she's, like, on missions and stuff as a Unit E member. That she just views it more as, oh, I can poke fun at her about this. Her usual mischief maker type of personality. Once Starscream gets captured by the Autobots, RC is not too happy and tries to kill him at one point. But he ends up getting free, and that's at the part where Optimus and Galvatron are, like, they're locked in a battle that's probably going to result in one of them getting killed, and Sideways has manipulated everything for that to happen, and Starscream has come to understand what is actually going on with, like, Sideways and all the strings that are being pulled. And he ends up making his way to the battlegrounds in the city that it's happening in, and tries to put a stop to it, and ends up fighting Galvatron himself to try and get him to realize what's going on and pay attention to the unfolding threat of Unicron in the background, who most people do not believe actually exists. And it ends up resulting in his death, like in Armada, except by Galvatron and Sideways' hands more than Unicron. And that ends up getting Galvatron to work together with Optimus. Everyone starts preparing for Unicron. Plans are nearing fruition by that point. And, get this out of here. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good design for RC. It keeps the classic look of her, while also incorporating Prime elements to her. I didn't care for the drastic redesigns they did of characters at points. Like, she's okay in Prime, but the only real similarity she has to being RC to me in Prime is that she's the girl of the group. Other than that, she is not really RC to me there. But she is the girl, and RC is typically the main girl of the stuff, so it works out in that regard. Here I make her start out looking more like her G1 self. Miko always teases Jack when they're younger for riding around in a hot pink car that RC transforms into. But once she gets this second form, turns into a motorcycle, she can't really make those jabs at him anymore. Yeah, I wasn't really planning on doing a stream yesterday or anything, but I woke up and saw a artist that worked on Bionicle, one of his videos he did recently, where he went over his initial ideas for, like, the Makuta in the, I think, Fantoka line. And that just got me in a mechanical drawing mood. So I got on here, and Ballier was talking about his disease character, and I figured, well, I may as well draw stuff. I got the computer here, so let's stream things. I need to make the spike here bigger. There we go. Alright. Have the collar. Shoulder pads. I was wondering if you were going to show Disease ever on the Discord, Ballier. It was nice to see them pop up. Well, there have been Transformers that are from Earth before and things, like a lot of the animated Transformers are born on Earth, and even in the original stuff, if I remember right, in G1, the Dinobots are made on Earth. But it is always a nice thing to not have them all just be from Cybertron. Technically, Sari's a Transformer born on Earth, but they don't show what her origins actually are in animated, so the full extent of where her protoform came from is not really known there. Although, what my origin ideas are for her would be incorporated into this. It's basically the concepts I had for her way back when I did the fanfic The Worth of Life after animated ended. Closed road. Oh. Well, I'm not heading out there, so that little warning is not relevant to me. Yeah, I'm not sure how good I am at drawing robots, actually, handgun. People seem to love when I do them, but to me, how I do them is usually just, like, they're characters, but they're just more mechanical. Doing, like, actual complex-looking robots takes a lot more time to do, which I have done before, but it's not as common for me. Can probably find up. I go over here. Come on. Where's... Okay. Let's see here. Robot? Well, that's Connork. He always has me do the G1, the complex-looking ones. I kinda like these machines a bit. Got all the... You can see the inner cords and stuff when Doko's destroying them. Oh. Here's some Metal Gear stuff that I came up with years back when I was trying to come up with a better way to do the Peace Walker in 5. It's, do not care for how those turned out story-wise. Yeah, I had an idea called Metal Gear Zero, which would have been a redoing of that stuff to give a more proper lead-in. That's not a robot, but this guy absorbs mechanical things to, like, get their abilities and stuff. So he has robotic stuff going on in him. A Sima-Kid. He'll show up later on in Doko's comics. Oh, well, that is a very nice distinction for what the Transformers and Earthspark are. Yeah, it's nice them actually making Transformers out of Earth materials and, like, really emphasizing that aspect for that. I know I had another... Oh, well. Here's a doofusy little robo guy here. And a lot of other doodles I just did one day. Is that the first? Yeah, that's the first batch of doodles that I did, like, 3 years ago. What's the music? Oh, it's still on that. Well, let's change the music, because this has been playing forever. What's this one? Nope. Nope. Okay, we'll go with this. And no, I've never seen Earthspark. Unless things are on YouTube, generally I don't see them these days. Because I don't really have services that show shows or anything. Oh. I guess here's a cool little mechanical outfit. It's not a full robot, it's more of a suit that is piloted by Mechanica. It's what her throne can turn into. Yeah, that's all stuff that's more complex machinery that I've done, I guess. But generally, when I do generic robot stuff, it's more of just characters that look like they're made out of mechanical things. Yeah, I guess I'll just finish RC up here. There's some vents there. Let's get this. Yeah, the last show that I saw really was I saw an episode. Well, I saw a lot of episodes of Gendy stuff the other day, but that's because they've been streaming his shows on YouTube. Like, just random episodes from everything he's done. And I saw an episode of Unicorn Warriors Eternal, which is his latest show on Adult Swim. It's not, like, super explicit all the time, but it has things that are, like, you wouldn't see on children's shows. It's more that it just has the rating to be allowed to do stuff, instead of going out of its way to be, like, bloody and gory and everything. Oh well, if all of Season 1 of Earthspark is on YouTube, I may have to track that down at some point. It has been a few years since I've seen a Transformers series. Although I have, I did see the other day, I put up a link to it, the first episode of the Japanese version of Armada, which is Micron Legend, or Legend of the Minicons, which is infinitely superior to the English version. The English version is god-awful compared to it. There's so many differences, and a couple of parts of the American version have incomplete animation, which was always baffling to me since it's a Japanese show. You would think that they'd have complete animation for the dub, but it was all to keep up with deadlines of, well, we gotta put this out, and this is advertising for the toys, so we have the incomplete animation, we'll use that instead. It doesn't happen all that often, but if you look at the two versions side by side, there are a couple of scenes that are unfinished. Energon has that a lot more. Either way, it's inexcusable, but the Japanese version is always the way to watch Armada, to me. I found someone that put up a subtitled version of the Japanese version of Armada the other day. Alright. I think we got our sea all drawn up. I think all I'm really gonna do from here on out is color the things. Alright. Okay, get rid of this. Alright. So we got a Unicron, Primus, Bumblebee, Sorry, and RC. I do hope the music is catchy enough for you guys. It is one of my favorites from Mystical Ninja, the 64 game of it. Okay. So, darkish, bluish. That'll work. And here we go. Color, color, color. I guess RC is more of a Unit E member in my stuff than a Autobot member, really, by the time that the stuff starts. Like, she helps out Goldbug's team from time to time, but mostly is helping out Jack, Miko, and Raph. Sorta just goes along on missions sometimes. Occasionally Ratchet will get called in, maybe Bulkhead to help out, but they're usually with Optimus's team, with Bumblebee, Sorry, and sometimes Prowl. Prowl joins up with Optimus's guys later on, but he starts out working more as a Detroit police officer than an Autobot team member. Works the most with Fanzone at the start and is more in his black and white G1 colors. He gets his animated black coloring later on. Yeah, I think I had it that he sacrifices himself still during, like, the final battle with, like, the whole Unicron stuff that happens. Does some grand, epic type of spiritual thing with Allspark fragments to help defend against Unicron, which takes up too much energy. But yeah, this coloring for RC is pretty cool. It's like one of those toys that repaints it as a stealth version or something. Always kinda wanted to get the Elite Guard Bumblebee animated toy, since that was like the cool black and yellow coloring to him. Not sure if he was going to get that look in Season 4 if they had made that or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the things they had planned. Yeah. I forget if RC has the spike there colored red in Prime. I just know that I went with it because it made the spike stand out against the blue. Didn't want that getting lost in the design as much. Autobot symbol. Which I need to color the rest of her collar. Fill in the black. Boom, boom. Boom, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-ba-boom. There we go. I'm zoomed in to 66. I should amp it up to 100. Here we go. I think the last Transformers show I saw Bowyer was Robots in Disguise, the newer Robots in Disguise back in the 2010s. As a sequel, it's probably the best sequel that's been done of a Transformers show. Probably not as good as Prime, technically, but it was fun to me, and is certainly better as a sequel than Energon was to Armada. Energon is just... that is one big mess there. Bumblebee and sorry. Sorry's always been the best human character, like, human team member of the franchise to me. He's, like, actually useful and stuff, and after her, they made the characters more useful, but she feels like she's the one that was done the best in that regard to me. It feels a lot more relatable than other human characters. Certainly a step up from Kicker. Then there's Shia LaBeouf, who's like a nothing character. He's just there, kind of. Same with Megan Fox, who's that to even lesser of an extent. Or I guess to even more of an extent. Yeah, the live-action movies just did not know how to do the human characters. And I hear people say that, like, there shouldn't be any human characters, it should just be Transformers. And it's like, yeah, you can make that work, but at the same time, you get rid of, like, the relatable human element of the series if you do that. That's always seemed like a pretty extreme, not great way to handle the situation to me. It's like the human connection in the series is part of what the series is about a lot of the times. It's just not done well a lot of the times is all. Though it's usually not as bad as people make it out to be. Yeah, this Bumblebee has a white face. He gets a gray face when he's maximal, though. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, that's just gray. Shape up Bumblebee here a bit. Alright, that'll work. Yeah, I started out drawing her as her, like, little kid self, but I think that's why I wasn't, like, really thinking of coloring the eyes, but even then her eyes are, like, red when she's little. So, yeah, it's just more of, I wasn't gonna color the eyes was all. Hunger, hunger, hunger. I will be happy to eat after this. I feel like I say that in most streams. Does still have red hair, though. Oh. Yeah. Alright, something got stuck on the stylus here. Hey, let's make the hair a bit more vibrant. There we go. And let's... entitled Basic Dynamics. Yeah. I really wish I could use the paint like my other computer for streaming. Because the Windows 7, that one's GIMP has things set up exactly like I want them to be. And it's been a lot harder to try and figure out how to get things working like that one on this computer. I'm always having to, like... I still don't have things set up like how they, like, feeling-wise should be, I don't think. This keeps freezing up now, making it hard to keep doing the drawing as consistently as it has been going. So, do any of you have a favorite Transformers series? Mine would be animated or Beast Wars. Those are the two top ones for me. I'm assuming Earthspark is a bit up there for you, Bowyer. And let's see. Yeah, Beast Wars is pretty hard to beat for me. Let's switch on over to some soothing Sonic music. If any of the music is too loud, be sure to let me know. It's always hard for me to judge when I'm working. Then Sari's got 2 shades of yellow to her outfit. I pretty much draw Sari's young adult self like how it is in animated, but I think there's a couple of differences. I'd have to look at the design, which I have right here, so I don't know why I'm saying that. Let's see. Oh yeah. That there, and those... I pretty much put vent lines along her outfit at parts. Oh, and there's no, like... no line there. So I need to change that. Okay. Well, that was handy to look at. Yeah, that's about... Other than that, though, she pretty much just looks like animated Sari, only done in a more angular fashion, sort of. I did do a realistic-looking picture of her once, but it looks kinda creepy to me with the individualized teeth and everything. Alright. Let's just get this colored. Then what becomes her spark chamber is always colored orange-yellow when she's in her human form. There we go. Sorry, someday. I guess let's get these up here. And Bumblebee's eyes. The standard Autobot blue. In G1, they pretty much just colored everyone's eyes whatever they wanted. But as the franchise has gone on, blue has become more associated with the good guys and red with the bad guys. And then here's the big boys up here. Oh boy. Alright. Let's get to coloring ya. The royal blue. Let me get a picture of him so that I have it on hand to work with. Okay. Here's Primus. Alright. Okay. Yeah, once you get into the planet-sized Transformer characters, the details become a lot more complex looking. Because it's basically what you would probably be seeing the intricacies of the normal characters if you were like an ant compared to them. But with these guys turning into planets, they also have like buildings and groundwork and all that structure built into them. So you got all the little lines and everything going across them to represent that texture. Now the real question is who would win in a fight? Mata Nui or Unicron or Primus? When you get into the actual, like, size of the planet characters, though, that's pretty much a lost cause, because it just becomes whatever size works with the scene. They do not keep it consistent at all. In the original movie, Unicron is, like, big enough that he eats moons and stuff, like, whole. But the Dinobots, when they get onto him, they're able to be seen, like, from a distance, taking up parts of his pelvic region when they attack. And it's like, if they were actually that big, the Dinobots would have to be like the size of states or countries. And it's like just absurd if you like try to keep the size consistent in that movie. Then Mata Nui is like, he's like as long as Europe is. So he has a more consistent size to him. Unicron always seemed like he would have to be a pretty medium-sized planet to me. Like, he doesn't seem like he'd be that big compared to, like, Jupiter or something. He's obviously big, but in terms of, like, compared to other planets, he seems like he'd be a bit on the medium size. Then when he transforms, all that stuff folds into him. So you could make an argument for his size, like, not standing as tall as a planet there. Then you only get to see his head in Beast Wars. You get to see his planet form in that in a flashback, but that's about it. And then by the time of Beast Machines, they don't even show him. He was left floating as a head at the end of G1 orbiting Cybertron. By the time that Beast Wars and Beast Machines happens, for some reason his head isn't there anymore. So something must have happened between the shows that, like, got his head loose from the orbit of Cybertron. But they never go into that. Yeah, for this design of Primus, I was kinda working off of the general shape of the Cybertron version of him, but more adding my own ideas to it. Because, like, I always interpret the formations coming off of his brother Unicron as like wings, like demon wings. So what I did for Primus was I made him have more kind-looking wings, more angelic, I guess. Since his brother is like the evil god and he's the good god. Okay, and now a lighter blue. I do like Unicron with his green eyes in the original movie, but in my stuff, I make both his and Primus's eyes red. Red works with Unicron for the evil aspect, and then having his Primus's eyes red helps to show that they're brothers. They're two beings that came out of a one being being split in half. I think that's all I do with the light blue. Now we go to yellow. Yellow! TC Nick 3 always yells yellow when he chooses it in that Bowser's Big Blast Mario Party minigame. Yellow! Usually it works out for him, but once or twice it just ends up blowing up in his face. Which is always the hilarious moments. This kinda sounds like Pikmin music. Just nice and peaceful. Everyone's having a pleasant time. Yeah, I didn't quite draw the wings like I did in the initial concept art over there, but yeah, I was more just doodling stuff at the start of this. Daniel was the only one in the chat, so he might remember, but yeah, probably also coming off the heels of discussing disease in the Discord, so it's not important details compared to that stuff. And he has had the puppy that he is keeping company also. Oh well, I hope you guys were able to get all the stuff into the van alright. I've just been coloring Primus here. Gonna get onto his brother in a few minutes, probably. And then once everything's colored, I am going to leave and eat because I am starving. I have only had 2 Pop-Tarts and some tea to eat and drink today. Oh right, I forgot. Yeah, the Primus's spark chamber here is blue and everything else is red. Because the red shows, like, both him and Unicron have red eyes in this stuff, so that, like, shows that their brothers came from the same thing being split in half. But the spark chamber for Primus is blue, because it is literally the Allspark that is his spark chamber. Which I always thought was a good way to show the Allspark as part of his design. Oh well, I hope the sale goes okay. Hopefully you guys make tons of money and you can donate about $1,000 or $1 million to me. Then we can keep operations here running for decades to come. Yeah, I'll just use the blue that I was using for the Autobot eyes for the Allspark there. Oh, need to change the stomach area here. Add it more like the Unicron openings for his stomach area instead. Instead, it's more like two vents on top of each other for Primus's design. Alright, back to the coloring portion. Now let's get a good gray. Yeah, that'll work. Drag the yellow into the inner part of the shoulder joint here. There we go. Let's do some more gray for the throat. Shows the inner workings a bit there. Okay. I guess let's do gray here. Then we do gray for the individual wings. Okay. Yeah, I just thought it'd be good instead of just having, like, how the Cybertron toy does Primus, where it's just, like, the shell of the planet coming off of him, to have it actually be wings, like how it looks like for Unicron. It helps to show their similarities and stuff. evil demon wings for Unicron. Good feathery wings for, Primus. Okay, and then I guess the lighter blue for this part of the wing. The bones of the wing. And some red for the joint up here. Alright. And that's one of the only drawings I have ever done of Primus. Other than the concept art in this, I think I've only drawn him one other time, so like 3 times total. I do quite like his design, it's just I never really have much reason to draw him, since he's hardly ever part of any, like, in any active role in any Transformer thing. But he is there, so he's important for the history. And now we get to the far more active of the God Planet Brothers. The Chaos Bringer, the World Destroyer, the Eater of Planets, Unicron. Unicronu. I liked in the Armada stuff how they, like, emphasized the a being of nature, of evil, chaos, whatever. But at the same time, they took it a bit too far to me, where, like, him healing from, like, substantial body damage just because he's absorbing the negative emotions of everything is a bit... it's a bit much to me. It's like, yeah, he represents that and stuff, but it's still, you have body parts getting, like, ripped off and stuff, and it's like, I can suspend my disbelief a bit, but that is a bit much. I'm fine with him healing over time and everything, but just to have him magically warp back to being, like, healed and stuff is... there needs to be more stuff being eaten and added to his biomass, or moving more plating and stuff from his insides to the damaged areas to make up for it, to me. Not just, I'm magically better because I'm evil and I'm eating all your evil mentally. It's too far into the, like, symbolic magic aspect of it. Other than that, though, I love how he is in Armada. Well, Yabba-dum, bum, yabba-dum. Yeah, when I was younger, I always wanted the toy of Unicron, and it was always just so expensive and stuff. I finally bought it during high school, like an old one of it that was on eBay for cheap enough. It was the reissue that had the Universe logo and stuff and marked him as a Decepticon, which I always found annoying because he is not a Decepticon. That is like beneath him. But it got me the toy, so I was fine with that. All those years of wanting it finally within my grasp. And then that third-party one, the Studio Cell, came out, and that was all I ever needed of a Transformer figure. That is my pride and joy when it comes to Transformer stuff that I have. Pretty much perfectly captures his original movie look. Yeah, I just have how I draw him pretty much memorized at this point. Unicron's a character that's never really had too much in the way of changes throughout his designs. Armada gets a more different than the original, but it's still like such a similar concept, and the shape is still like similar enough that it's like, yeah, that's Unicron. You can't mistake it for anyone else. Just the evil devil horned god of destruction. Yeah, Armada has some of my favorite scenes of him, like when he's first unfolding and towards the end of the sequence at the... It's like a whole episode he transforms through. Makes sense given the size, but towards the end where like his head lifts up and it like pans up his body, and you can, like, see every part of him. He, seeing, like, his head is out, but it's in complete shadow at the top of him, and all you can see is the glowing red eyes and the shape of his head. It is so cool looking. It was so awesome to have, like, a threat that actually made the Autobots and Decepticons work together, like, as a team. That was something I had never seen before. And I think that's probably the best instance of it to me. Like, the stuff that Armada did first, it did the best in my eyes. Which is usually how it goes with things, is the first time it's done, a lot of times is the best instance of it being done. Because after that, most times it's just, we're copying it to do it because people liked it. Without as much of a meaningful connection to it being done, other than just for fan service. Yeah, the heroes teaming up with the villains is always when you know that it's like, oh, fuck, this is a serious threat. You know, like, the Justice League teaming up with the Legion of Doom towards the end of Justice League and stuff. Sonic and his friends teaming up with Eggman to stop the Ark from crashing into Earth. Things like that. It's always epic. Just a perfect dramatic way to finish a story. Coming together, realizing that they need to be working together to keep what's really important safe. Showing that despite the differences, these are still people. And they're not just wholly, this one's good and this one's evil. It's, no, they're all people doing what they're doing for a reason. It's pretty real, and like, humanity, despite its differences, if there was a different physical threat that came along, has shown the potential to work together at times to survive. And it's sort of that primal sense of survival that resonates with the audience when it comes to those situations in fiction. Realizing that at the end of the day, they are all just people that are trying to survive, and their alliances are formed out of that necessity. They will support each other under the right circumstances. It's all about what agendas align with each other at what points. And my stuff, I try to present during the Unicron stuff all of the horror that would be in place during the destruction that happens with him. Because people that get into his systems, they do not have very pleasant deaths. The shows sometimes show inklings of that, but it's brought to its logical violence in the stuff I make of Unicron. Because it is basically fighting against the immune system of a giant body and trying not to be digested and stuff. Probably the most gruesome deaths in the official Transformers stuff when it comes to Unicron Well, the most gruesome would be the original movie, where you see his victims being dropped into acid and dissolving, screaming and stuff. But other than that, it'd have to be Thrust, how he dies in Armada, because he's like trying to yell at Unicron what to do and stuff, and then Galvatron shows up. He's like trying to plead and negotiate with Galvatron. It's all just to like go behind Galvatron's back again, but he ends up, Thrust ends up getting his foot caught in the plating of Unicron's neck right there, as Unicron is finishing transforming, and he just sort of gets pulled into the plating and crushed to death and stuff, which was always horrifying to me. Like, you don't really see the full visual of what happens, but you do see his, like, upper torso and head, like, expanding more and more as, like, what are obviously Thrust's insides are pooling up into his upper body from being crushed and everything. And then it just cuts to, like, Galvatron as he's walking away, and you hear the scream and explosion behind him as the crushing finalizes. It was always one of the most sickening ways I could think of to die. That's why you watch Transformers. They always give the horrible deaths in the more impactful moments of the franchise. You gotta expect these things with something like Unicron. Uncaring towards anyone else, and just walking amongst ants for normal people. Alright. Well, I think I'm about done here. I'll just leave things like this. Yeah, I think that's alright. Mostly I'm just getting too hungry, but I only got all these. Maybe I'll add a bit of shading. To the two brothers, at least. Let's move the screen. Well, I hope it hasn't been too dull just hearing about all the Transformers stuff I've been rambling on about today. Haven't really discussed Transformers in in great detail in probably years. I used to draw them quite a bit. It's what, I'm pretty sure it's what most of the older people that watched me originally watched me for, because I'd always used to draw Transformers, and then over the years I got more into drawing my own stuff more, and just kinda gone from there. At times I'll draw more current things, and every once in a blue moon now I will still do Transformers, but it is not to the degree that I used to. Shading. I'm trying to figure out the shading of the helmet up here, since I've rarely ever drawn him. I'm not even gonna shade the wings. It's too many individual feathers, and they're already gray, so I'll just leave that as is. Yeah, I started out figuring I'd probably draw quite a few things, but looking at this, it's just been like 4 main pictures, and I think the 2 God Brothers up here were just so complex looking that ate up most of the time. It's just fine, as long as they look good. That's what really matters. Yeah, Unicron, how they style him in Armada, which sort of carries over into most of the other stuff, feels kind of Egyptian-like to me in the aesthetic for some of the plating. Oh, well, that would go along with the usually mass-produced feel of the Viacom's Ballier. Yeah, it usually does boil down to the manpower aspect for them. Always a cheap way to get more troops. For beast machines, it's probably so they didn't have to, like, animate unique designs for an army of Transformers. Ba-da-ding, ba-da-ding, ding, ding. Oh. Yeah, the Transformers inside of Unicron that, like, are created from him are mostly... they're Terrorcons, obviously. But it's utilizing, like, designs that he has absorbed before to create them with. All of the original Transformers and people and stuff that he has absorbed, their souls reside within his, like, world he has made within his consciousness. They don't know that's what they are. To them, they're just people going about their own lives in his world. They don't really know of him. But as long as they're like that, their souls cannot pass on to the afterlife. They're trapped blissfully unaware in that artificial world he has constructed. I'm assuming the Viacon generals in your stuff, Ballier, are like Strika and Obsidian and stuff. Alright. I think that should work for these two. Maybe some shading along the eye. And then let us go over the eyes with a glow. Yeah, that'll work. Then after this, I think I'm going to end the stream, because I'm starving and I need to eat something so that I do not keel over and perish. Well, that is an interesting idea, Ballier. Yeah, I always liked the ideas of beast machines, but some of them were a bit odd in design, like Rat Trap and Obsidian having no feet to really stand with. That was kind of annoying when it came to the toys. And I guess Unicron's forehead gem here illustrates the dark energon in him, it being purple and stuff. But yeah, I guess this is probably... Oh, didn't get all of our say here. Need to color her in completely. back to that brush. This. And then the blade she has, which is the same color as the eyes of the Autobots. So probably an Energon blade. Get it down. There we go. And let's have the color be swiping also. Illustrates the motion if the blueness of it is also coming off in the air. Alright. Well, I think that'll do it for the Transformers doodles. Oh. I just saw a little more shading. Right here, along the chin, along the jawline. Just give him a little touch up. There we go. That's a good Unicron. Unicrono. Oraimosu. Bumblebee. Bumblebee, Unicron, Primus, sorry, RC. Let's, oh, I need to color in Sorry's mouth. I'm trying to remember the Rust store. That's in Beast machines or not. But either way, this is, I guess, the end of all this. I am hungry, and I do thank you all for coming. Any other continued Transformers discussions, feel free to continue them on in the chat, the Discord. And I've seen now that I think I need to do a little more to Unicron. The back of his helmet would come out to here, probably. So we got that. That look good, or is that too far? Yeah, there we go. There we go. And then we just smudge the color out to there. And then we just smudge the shading out to there. Then we just smudge it back in. And there we go, there's Unicron. Good little chaos winger. Oh boy, oh no. Okay, well, I think I'm done here. I thank you all for participating and watching and listening and all that good stuff. Hopefully this hasn't been too boring or dull or what have you. And, yeah, I guess that's probably it. You guys, I'm sure I'll talk to in the Discord in a bit. And, yeah, I guess have a good day or night or whatever. Enjoy the, puppies on your end, Daniel. And, whatever's going on in your part of the world, handgun. I'll see you all later, or in a second, or minutes in Discord, and, yeah. This has been Doodling Transformers with Edward18. See you all in the next stream.